Hey there, Star Wars fans. Welcome back to the Hyperspace Database. I'm Jonesy the Mandalorian, your host here with today's topic, the AAT tank. The Armored Assault Tank Mark I was a repulsor lift tank used by the Confederacy of Independent Systems just prior to and during the Clone Wars, and was one of the primary droid-controlled tanks of the Separatist Army. The AAT-1 hover tank was developed by the Boctoid Armor Workshop many years prior to the Clone Wars, but was one of the most popular tanks in the droid army's arsenal, as it was small enough to be transported to several worlds and could navigate through many smaller avenues and city streets that larger vehicles had a hard time getting through. It was not an incredibly fast tank, being designed for power over speed, with its 360-degree heavy laser cannon turret as well as its laser cannons and projectile launchers making it a fearsome opponent on the battlefield. Many of these tanks were responsible for the destruction of the larger Republic ATTE walkers, and with its repulsor lift systems in place, it could hover over many obstacles on the ground with relative ease. While it was quite the powerful tank, it was slightly less maneuverable than other vehicles of its size. It was able to equip many different types of ammunition, from bunker buster explosive shells to armor-piercing shells against large vehicles to anti-personnel energy shells, which had considerable speed when launched. One of the biggest drawbacks to this vehicle was its droid crew, which could not adapt to unpredictable situations like an organic crew could, and these tanks were also weak to EMP grenades that could take out their electronic systems, as well as rocket launchers. If an infiltrator was able to break into the tank from the outside, whether by laser cutter or lightsaber for example, they could cause a lot of damage to the tank's primary systems. The AAT allowed for 4 OOM series droid crew members, a pilot who would sit in the middle of the vehicle, with a gunner on each side, and a commander that would sit in the turret chamber, which could be accessed by a top hatch, with the other droids entering through the main entry ramp at the rear of the tank. We first see the AAT tank in The Phantom Menace, when the Trade Federation invades the planet Naboo at the command of Darth Sidious, though this invasion attempt would eventually be thwarted by the combined forces of the Naboo Royal Guard and the local Gungan population. Several AAT tanks were sent to guard the city of Theed from assault, but they were distracted from the main attacking group by a surprise attack by other Naboo forces using a flash speeder and Guian speeder. While this battle was taking place, the Gungan army faced the bulk of the droid forces, fighting off several battalions of B-1 battle droids and more than 20 AAT tanks. After a heavy barrage of fire from the AATs, which had no effect on the deflector shields that the Gungans were using, the droid forces deployed their infantry, which was able to get inside of the shields and attack the Gungans within. Although the Gungans fought bravely, they were severely outnumbered, and the droids overran their position, as well as took out their main shields with a well-placed attack from droidekas. The Gungans then sounded the retreat, but they were pursued by the AAT units, who blasted the area with their heavy laser cannon turrets and light laser cannons. Luckily for the Gungans, Jar Jar Binks was able to release the holds on the large Booma Gungan grenades, which rolled down the hill and was able to take out at least one of the AAT tanks. This did not stop the tanks from advancing, however, and only a lucky shot from a Booma grenade allowed Jar Jar to steer the careening AAT into its own units, though they were able to steer out of the way in time. The AAT tank would later be used extensively by the CIS Army during the Clone Wars, some 10 years later, as the Trade Federation joined the Separatists, and the tank received a new blue and gray paint job to commemorate this addition to their forces, as well as replacing their light laser cannons with heavier double laser cannons. The AAT-1 tank was the backbone of the droid army on several planets, and it was a common sight on many battlefields, where it often accompanied garrisons of troops and strike teams of droids. An alternate, modified version of the AAT was used by the CIS Army during the Clone Wars, called the Defoliator Deployment Tank, which was developed by the Nemoidian General Locke Durd. The DDT was deployed on the planet Meriden, where it was to be used for testing on the organic Lurman species. The main improvement on this tank over the original was the turret-mounted Defoliator missile launcher, which was designed to eliminate organic life forms in a single shot, while leaving machinery intact, such as battle droids and other military weaponry. Jedi Aayla Secura and Anakin Skywalker, as well as Ahsoka Tano and Captain Rex, were stranded on the planet due to their ship crashing, so they fought against the Separatists despite the Lurmans not wanting anything to do with them. The Lurmans wanted to stay out of the war and remain neutral, but the CIS army sought to test their organic weapon on them anyway, so the Jedi defended the natives despite their protests. Even though he was injured, Anakin Skywalker was able to get close enough to the DDT to deliver the crippling blow, and also captured the Neimoidian general. Interestingly, General Grievous would later use a DDT on the planet Dathomir, when he attacked the Night Sisters and tried to eliminate Mother Talzin. While this attack was successful in eliminating some of the Night Sisters, Mother Talzin's magic was able to resurrect some of the fallen Night Sisters and use them as zombie attackers to reinforce the outnumbered witches of Dathomir. Several years after the fall of the Republic and the deactivation of the droid army, the Galactic Empire designed a tank that had a striking similarity to the AAT, which was dubbed the Imperial Assault Tank. It was used to protect several of the Empire's weapons factories, where it was often paired with AT-ST walkers to defend the facilities against rebel attacks. Here's a fun fact. After the rise of the Empire, one AAT was refurbished by the former Imperial Wookiee slave Quagga, and was used in Jabba the Hutt's Gladiator games, as seen in the video game Star Wars Demolition. While the AAT tank is primarily seen in the Star Wars movies and TV shows, it can be found in numerous other Star Wars projects as well, as it is present in many forms of media that feature the droid army. Some examples include several video game appearances in the Battlefront and Starfighter series, as well as in games like Empire at War, Galactic Battlegrounds, and the LEGO Star Wars games. It even makes appearances in several comic books, toys, and LEGO sets. The Armored Assault Tank was the backbone tank of the CIS Army during the Clone Wars, and was heavily used against the Grand Army of the Republic. It was often considered a high threat, especially when they were deployed in groups, where their heavy weapons were most effective at razing enemy buildings, units, and vehicles to the ground in a blaze of firepower. Want to know more about great Star Wars topics just like this one? Stick around to the end for some secret trivia, hit those like and subscribe buttons, and the bell to never miss an episode that I publish. Be sure to check out my other videos and chat with me in the comments, because I really want to hear from you. Super special shout out to my Gold Captain level Patreon supporters Miss 2003, Matthew Scott, and Nick Sutphin. Your support is so appreciated, and you keep the show going and growing. Thank you so much. Be sure to chat me up in the comments and check out my other videos while you're at it. Thank you so much for watching this episode, and I will see you in the next one.